Republican Party is being strengthened by these moves because what the Democrats do, like they're doing with Tulsi, they eliminate people. They try to eliminate. They destroy them. And what Trump's saying is let me bring these people that see it. Let's save America. Let's save the children. Let's get healthy again. Like he's willing to put his ego on the table for a minute and bring these people in. And you know what? Yeah. Our leaders are going to have to deal with different perspectives. Oh my God, Kamala going in front of, I just can't even imagine. She's a horrific here, but in another country with another leader, my God, it would terrify me. So I'm just saying, this is great.
I don't believe that there's a bit of capacity in Donald Trump to put his ego aside, but that's part of the cool thing about having big thinkers in the party, like if this coalition that's being batted around, because, and especially like a guy like RFK, like they disagree a lot, okay? Yeah, so it's actually, if you were ever worried about Trump and had Trump derangement syndrome or whatever, this should actually, I mean, I guess if you have Trump derangement syndrome, you probably have RFK derangement syndrome too. Well, I don't know.
Yo, bro, so
he's the thing that worries
you guys hear what RFK said?
Right, is I'm friends with some people who are friends with some people at the Trump camp, and apparently they love his policy on housing, and they want to adopt that. So basically, my generation will be able to buy a house if he gets elected.
Oh, thank God for that.
So let's do an air horn for that.
Augustus, how could it be?
And then also they align on other policies like creating crypto as a Federal Reserve asset, and basically we could get rid of the Fed through crypto, and there, RFK Jr. and him are going to collaborate on that too, I'm sure, and with Elon Musk, and they're saying. Donald Trump goes, I'm going to buy 1 million Bitcoin. RFK Jr. says, we're going to buy 4 million Bitcoin.
We're going to have
basically it's going to take our assets and further fortify them for a more technological future. So that's very promising. That's a big step towards innovation and getting with the times is they're not stuck in this old world shit. We're going to try to use that to leverage to get out of the trillions of dollars in debt that we're.
Yo, Justice. Hold up, real quick. The biggest thing that I heard during the whole RFK Jr. speech was him leading to the point of the Abraham Lincoln Unity Party, because Abraham Lincoln brought in people from other parties that disagreed with him so that they wouldn't just be a tilted, echo chamber, but that they could fight for ideas within the presidency during the administration. And that's what RFK, put the dot on the exclamation point with, was he's like, we're creating a unity party where I don't agree with everything that Donald Trump says, and that's out in front. And we are public with that, but we're going to do something bigger with that, and it hasn't been done since Abraham Lincoln. And I'm like, dude, it's happened. Like, I was there when this started, dude, and I'm stoked.
Smart people listen to people that are smarter than them, and smart people listen and are willing to change their minds. It's such a relief to me. We need leaders like that. That's what we need. That is a leader.
Reality of the situation is that they get into office, no more war with the Ukraine, no more war with the Israel, no more war for at least 4 years, and you better bet your sweet ass that if RFK Jr. decides to run again in 2028, that he's potentially going to get that Donald Trump endorsement, and we won't have war for another 8 years. So cheers to a decade of years with no war.
In other words, yeah. But hey, Augustus, how good would it be if you had Brett Weinstein, the science guy or the medical guy, and then you could have Jordan Peterson's, I don't know, education secretary? I just think of the whole cabinet coming together.
I think Rogan should be the press secretary. Go ahead.
Pete Buttigieg, who has no background in transportation, being the transportation secretary. Can't do any worse.
Well, you have Elon Musk, you know. Airplanes just rocket.
Horatio, I think you're just trying to write like a nightmare scenario for every Celestia out there.
Oh my God! Wouldn't it be so joyous?
Joyous. Like another secretary who was appointed by Biden, the labor secretary, didn't even know the labor numbers. She was like trying to blame that clip went viral.
The Secretary of Commerce.
Yeah, she was like, I don't believe in Trump fake news. It was like, well, no, this is your own department that at least.
I don't know if we're gonna kill my family if I didn't say this.
I mean, that's worth bringing up. He was asked about this guy revision in jobs, which we've been gaslit for. And there are often revisions, but the fact of the matter is that this 818,000 job revision that the BLS put out, you haven't seen one that big. You haven't seen one that big since 2009, I think, back in 2008 or 2009.
Yeah, 15 years.
It's a huge deal, and the fact that the Secretary of Commerce, when pressed on that, didn't even know that there was a release of revisions coming out that day is fucking scary, you know? That's the person you want to know that.
And also,
Yeah,
you
I
make
agree.
sure your transportation secretary wears like Gucci loafers when he goes to visit like a train crash.
Actually, you could have Joe Rogan as the Minister for War, or whatever you call that. It could be all tweets.
We don't have a minute.
He's fine, whoever it's called.
No, we don't have a Secretary of War either.
We have the
he's fine.
the joint chief is the one that overlooks all the war departments.
Oh, they do.
Kamala Harris is the Commander-in-Chief. Can you imagine she's going to know about like airplanes and shooting? Oh my God, it's a lot.
You come to explain the conflict in Ukraine? A 2-year-old can understand that. She was such a good kid. Well, there's a big country next to a little country.
I like your explanation of the school bus better.
I like her initial thought to the computer. That was my favorite.
Can you explain AI, Madam Vice President?
You know, I watched some of the DNC, and I wonder if they brought up the First Amendment, free speech, one time in the whole fucking convention. I bet they did.
They all did. Did you Walter Wade in the clip where he said, "I can't guarantee free speech to save the democracy"?
He said he didn't back free speech. He's an
He
idiot.
said, "We can't guarantee there'll be free speech. We need to save a democracy. You don't have the freedom to misinformation." Like, that's literally what the First Amendment gives you freedom to.
Augustus, did you see the
Well, the media sort of fucking misinformation. Why the hell shouldn't we be able to?
Augustus, did you see like SpaceX got the green light to rescue those astronauts?
I did see that. I think that's incredible. It's a testimony, obviously,
It's also
American innovation.
And this will just be a good PR stunt rather than anything too substantive. I don't know about the astronauts, but yeah, I mean, Elon Musk, he's really backing Trump, isn't he? But he's not particularly popular, or he's just very niche, or I don't know. I can't. What's the barometer? What do people think of him there?
I think the reason that they turned against Elon Musk is he spoke out against the COVID lockdowns, and ever since he did that, they've just been turning to shred.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a tangle for the U.S. government. I mean, to a pretty serious degree. There's no doubt about that.
You know what it feels like to me is that they're unamending the Constitution that got it all wrong, and they're getting back to the basics. And so whatever Elon Musk does, he's gonna just go in there and chop off all the stuff, all the fat, and he's gonna have Robert F. Kennedy to kind of prove all the borders of not just, letting people in that shouldn't just be here, but we're going to shrink our government down to the size of, and then giving ourselves the payback of the things that we invest in through our taxes,
and that seems to be the plan, and it's just like, the timing of everything is beautiful, and the fact that God turned Trump's head just in time is enough for me. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm a believer in this. I think that this all is divine, and we are living in some kind of new 1776 moment. It's amazing.
Yeah, if you're a Christian, you have to vote for Trump because he's obviously chosen by God.
You know what fucking drives me crazy, man, is progressively speaking, I think some of the ideas that Democrats talk about are valid, right? But it seems like they want to base it within, like, it's like, they just want to sweep all the problems under the fucking rug. It's like, why are you focusing on all, like, these ideological, like, fluff? Like, the country's literally degenerating around our fucking ears as we speak. It's like, so that's what I always loved about it.
I could give an interesting example, if I can break in for a second.
Well, just let me, I'll land with this real quick. It's like, the machine is breaking down, right? It's like, we're driving a machine, right? What the Democrats want to do is like, we want to drive this machine to the happy place, without recognizing, like, dude, we're running out of we have no oil, we're running out of gas, the tires are fucking breaking up. We need to fix the fucking machine before we can fucking drive to the promised land. You know what I'm saying? And like the Democrats are just like, and that's what they don't seem to fucking get, you know?
Also, too, like, I want to break in there real quick, when you're talking about policy, because I could give a very good example of the new Kamala Harris policy that just got put out, and that's the $25,000 for first-time homeowners. Now, now, if I could just speak for just a second, there's actually a provision in there. Well, I don't even know if there's a provision, but there was like another part that was mentioned that said that first-generation first-time homeowners will get more money. So I want to like kind of like look at that for a second, because something didn't feel right to me about that. Because why can't the first generation homeowners, like, why do they need extra money, I guess? I'm trying to understand that. And why is there a, like, why wouldn't they be better off as renters?
That's saying, like, if your father...
Like, I could posit a scenario, I'll get off the mic in just a second. I could posit a scenario where maybe, let's say that...
Explain to you.
Explain to me.
So if your father already owned a house, then you're at a point of privilege when it comes to being able to own your own house, because your parents already owned the house. So what she's saying is, if nobody in your family, in your immediate family, owned a house, then we're going to give you this $25,000.
That's not even exactly close to what it's like, but keep going.
I mean, that's what it means to be the first-time homebuyer, because your parents...
No, I mean, I think that's an interesting point. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it, but I thought, like, would there be a better way to put extra money forth? Like, maybe people who repaired their credit, did something to merit, who,
what did I say that was wrong?
Unrealized tax.
So here's what you said that's wrong, is like, okay, so your parents, own a house, and because they lived in like a great time to buy a house, you know, we all know that, like, you know, houses were, you know, $80,000 in California in like 1980. So the problem is that what if your parents have like 4 or 5 kids? So that's the inheritance that they're leaving, especially at this point where they've taken everything else.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with what...
Yeah, it does. And so, hold up, man, I'll tell you what I'm saying if you ask me a question and let me speak, but like, if you're gonna keep, like, trying to filibuster, I'm gonna lose my train of thought, and then I'm not gonna be able to answer your question. But, like, what's gonna happen is, so all of that is gonna get split 5 ways, and then capital gains taxes are going to be, like, raping that, and you won't be able to own it in the first place because just the taxes on it, because like really even nobody,
the proposal.
Hold up, dude, really even nobody that actually owns their house, there's very few people that actually own it right out. It's it's like 30% of people. So people, especially since the 2008 house crisis where like everything tanked, everyone had to refinance for way bigger percentages. So like people who almost had their houses owned straight out, they had to take out more loans, give more equity, and are now still paying the mortgages on their house as if like they were, 3 years away. Now they're still, 25 years away from paying off their house. So when that gets split up, what's going to happen after capital gains tax? Everybody, like all the brothers and the sisters are going to get along and live in the same house with their entire family, or the house is going to get bought up for pennies on the dollar by corporations like BlackRock and Vanguard, which is what they're doing, and you're going to get nothing. And I'll land here. And if there was a bunch of people that were just like, if I only had 25 grand, I could buy a house, put a down payment on it, and still be able to pay for it, and my whole life wouldn't just be absorbed in it, we wouldn't have another 2008, that would be something. But the truth is she won't be able to give $25,000 the same way that Biden isn't couldn't give the school loan promise that he promised. These are all vote buying techniques, and it's coercion, and no one's in that place where they're just like, if I had $25,000, which they don't have, I would steal it from all the other people that have, are just surviving themselves and tax them to give it. No, I'm not. That's exactly what happened before.
We're definitely misrepresenting it.
You might have autism or be minorly retarded, or your IQ is probably at the two.
Knock it off. Look, knock it off. Knock it off. I'm going to make a comment about this. I can't stay. It's Sunday. I have to hang out with my husband. Hi, guys. Okay. This giving people 20% down payment, I've seen this little act before. It didn't work out well. You give people 20% of a down payment on a house, they don't know how to manage money, and they end up in a freaking mess. So everybody in the room, if you want to get your 25%, you want to get your house, you start watching Dave Ramsey, okay? The government ain't coming to save you, and Kamala's a liar, and you need to take it at that. Okay, you need to learn how we're individuals and we need to be individually responsible. That's what we want. And I don't care who says they're going to give you 25%. You educate yourself and you figure out how to get your own 25%. Okay.
Agree, Shirley. Sorry for making that, Shirley.
Okay, Mom.
25,000 is never going to happen. It's a non-starter. Same thing with the price caps that she was talking about. I mean, it got panned by even the far left media. Like, it's a non-starter.
David, is the proposal that you actually give that money to people, or is it just used as a down payment for the mortgage and then it would be paid back?
No, what would happen is, like, if you're going to buy a house, like a $200,000 house, the federal government would subsidize $25,000. The $25,000 would be like cash to the developer or cash to the person you're buying the house from.
Oh my word!
It would come in a tax refund in the tax year.
Yeah, things like that never go wrong.
Inflation is crazy. You sprinkle bloody cash on the ground and probably nothing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, crazy.
The last time they did something like that, the banks crashed. It's absolutely not sane. But I did see something that just infuriated me. They are giving right now business loans to not legal immigrants. Okay? Wrap your brain around that. I do everything to save money, to start a business, and they're just going to give these people who walked across the border money to start a business. This is not right. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking again.
Right, and who pays for that, David?
Yeah,
Who pays for that, David?
when New York City, they published their books for the last fiscal year. I think it was like close to like $2 billion was spent on the migrants in New York City.
That's what's happening.
$2 billion that could have went towards actual citizens of New York City, but instead it's going to illegal migrants.
It's like home in business class.
Yeah, it seems to me like everybody in New York is panicking that is in any kind of power, and they're like trying to flip-flop, do whatever they can. And I won't like filibuster the whole thing, but like, if you got an actual question, I'll answer it. But what you're saying is literal like socialism / communism bullshit.
Well, that's what she's saying, I think.
Who are you talking to?
You, my friend.
He's just representing the policy.
Yeah, you gotta slow your roll a bit. He's actually just trying to he's just trying to slice it and chop it up. He's friends, just like the rest of us.
It's cool, man. I could do
Shoot the messenger.
Horatio, it would be so much easier if we were a monarch, right? Like the U.S. king.
Yeah, and maybe. You could always have Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. I mean, that would be a great development, wouldn't it? That would be a shame, actually. Everything would go so well.
I mean,
They're out here on the west side. They're out here making TV shows.
Yeah, the Netflix is a good money maker for them. But anyway, that's silly. Forget them.
I legit had to turn down a job on one of their shows in the summer because I was already booked.
Well, I'm doing a show, Eric. I would never be able to speak to you with this.
No, they're doing a show. I think Harry likes polo, and so they're doing a show for Netflix with Boardwalk Entertainment, who makes great shows, by the way, like Chef's Table and stuff.
Boardwalk now.
Yeah, well, they're doing a show with Meghan and Harry about polo.
Howard, what is your favorite studio?
Please don't answer.
Oh, Miramax?
Who owns Miramax? Is that Time Warner?
Yeah, it's throwback, dude.
Disney or maybe.
Wait, hold on. Say again? Sorry.
No, I'm just saying a throwback. I mean, that was like the 90s heyday. Miramax was fucking lit.
Who owns it now?
I don't even know if it exists though. I'd have to look that up.
Yeah, it's funny, like all these studios are owned by, the big four, right?
What's the big
It was 20th Century Fox, which is now Disney, of course. Paramount, which is, Viacom Paramount. Then you have Universal, and which is owned by Comcast, and you have Buena Vista and Disney, which is owned by, obviously, Disney. It's crazy.
Nice trade.
And then Warner Brothers.
Beige, white, and the 7
Warner Brothers Discovery, by the way.
Right.
That's right, Warner Brothers, yeah.
No, I'm sitting here look, man, I've been watching my career fall apart for like the past fucking 2 years, 1.5 years. I mean, everything's fucking changing now. I mean, it's crazy. It's a bloodbath out here, as Trump would say, a bloodbath.
What's crazy is the fact that, this Discovery, right, was able to buy Time Warner.
That is ridiculous. It's optically terrible.
Yeah, which owns like HBO and CNN, those channels. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it tells you a lot.
Yeah, Eric is superstar. I mean, as Trump would say, they're very dangerous people, but once he's in, it's all going to be good. He's going to be in that nice white house, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, but they built they moved their, it's funny because they moved the headquarters from, Columbus Circle in New York. They actually named the building the Time Warner Center, but they left that. Now they're,
I've been in that building, actually. It's pretty.
Yeah, now they're in Hudson Yards.
Yeah.
The thing that I have been like keeping track of more than anything is like all the little like crazy math genius channels where like they do that aggregate pollster stuff and figure out like where the deviants are and then like where the actual aggregate is and all that kind of stuff. And they have like gone so deep in it now that they break it down by like you know, the borders within the borders. And like just like at the beginning of the Democratic National Convention, there was states starting to swing like heavily left enough, like Nevada and Arizona and stuff, that like they were pretty, you know, like up for grabs, but looking like you know, they were going to go to Democrats. And the polling that they've been doing over the past, you know, few days, and they spend a lot of money on this stuff, and they like really, because of like what we saw in 2016, really try to check themselves and like give like 50% of whatever it is that's going to Trump, and, you know, give him 50% less and give Kamala 50% more, just to like, you know, try to, you know, trade tit for tat on like what could be going wrong here and what we could be not being told the truth on. And it looks like the RFK swing just by itself has tilted the electoral college, that if Trump really does have any more rabbits in his hat, and that the debate goes as well as it's probably, you know, gonna go, this could literally be, and I was not saying this in 2020. In 2020, I was sounding the alarm and being like, dude, they're going to take this election. Biden is gonna get in. This is big, 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 big trouble. And in 2016, I said Trump is going to win. And I'm not saying like I'm Nostradamus. I'm just saying like I really spend a lot of time looking into this stuff. But it looks like Trump's going to win the popular vote. And not only that, but like Kamala might only win like less than 10 states combined.
Yeah, I was looking at the, obviously it's all preliminary, right? Because like the official, quote unquote, official polls won't come out until tomorrow. But as it's going right now, like Kamala's taking a negative 1% bump. Not even a bump, it's...
Yeah, she's doing very well. She's doing very well.
No, I mean, it's negative 1%.
It won't come out soon enough.
And this is actually, Horatio, this is actually before RFK's announcement. She was taking a negative 1% after the DNC.
Oh, okay, interesting. Really?
So, like now, after the RFK announcement, I mean, I don't have any preliminary numbers because obviously it's not official until tomorrow. But I would assume.
Why do you think the conference did her bad? Because I mean, the Obamas were very presidential and predictable, but I would have thought that would work to have, you know, Kitover.
People don't like Obama anymore, dude. Like he's taking a hard hit, man. Like, especially in the black community. Yeah, dude. People don't like him, and they, like, kind of, like, the black community especially, like, it's not in, like, a way where it's, you know, going to be 70, 80, 90%, but, like, in a way where Republicans were getting, like, I think 2 to 4% of the black vote during, like, before his first election. And I think he bumped that up to like somewhere between 7 and 10. Like, it's exponentially going up with black men, and not so much black women, but like black women too. Like, there's a lot of crazy dynamics happening within the party, just of the fact that like we are all mostly living the same life. Like, whether you make, you know, $50,000 a year or $150,000 a year, you're pretty much in the same boat, you know? Mm-hmm. And so, like...
Do you know it's Trump, though, rather than the lack of sympathy for Obama?
I think that Obama has been caught with his hands in the cookie jar a couple times that didn't look very well. and people don't like it because
and gay sex all around.
and the dick in the butt.
Whoa.
It's always a risky approach.
Yeah, but yeah, cause like who can know, and like, you know, taking anybody's word for, you know, any kind of sacred thing is retarded at this point. We know that like we're in the middle of some kind of like massive propaganda campaign that what is true, what is not. It is our job to separate the wheat from the chaff, and it's really insanely hard to do. So like it has become, you know, like up 33% Democrats that are just going to vote Democrat. Like their vote is in the air, and they're either not going to vote or they're willing to be swayed. And it looks like the sway is coming towards the populist movement. And that's what I hope for, but it also just looks what it looks like. And believe me, like, I don't try to look for, you know, the echoes. I'm trying to see where, like, we could do better and where we could get this, you know, this country that needs, it needs to be America. Like, it needs to be the light on the hill. It needs to be the beacon of hope. If we go down, the whole rest of the world comes with us. But yeah.
Do you accept the, you know, the very good possibility that Trump could still lose? I mean,
yeah, I think it's very possible. Very, very possible. I think that's why he keeps saying 3 more rabbits. He needs 3 more rabbits out of the hat.
well, I think one thing he needs to do is like probably fucking zip the lip a little bit more on all the kind of ego-driven shit. I think people were just kind of sick of him. He was coming out kind of crusty until this RFK thing happened, and I think this will probably invigorate his campaign. But you know, beyond the fact that kind of his stick is a little old and he lost a lot of people based on how he's a sore loser in the last election, the thing is, like, there's also the abortion issue too, and like, I don't think that was a good move. Like, this kind of, I don't politically, I think the fact that Roe v. Wade got overturned, I think that's working against him in a huge way out there.
There's a very simple explanation for that. It's very simple. Like, most people just don't want to hear it, but I mean, it's like leave it up to the states.
Yeah, I agree with David. Is like most people, that's an issue that we settled a long time ago. Most people that are against abortion had a pretty reasonable expectation of, like, you know, I don't want to know. I understand that if you had to do it, you probably didn't like it. It's not something that I want to bring up for somebody that had to go through it. But at the same time, we want to have some kind of, like, safeguard where we're not just, you know, like, starting to get into the territory where, like, the slippery slope of killing, you know, humans is safe. I think that's what it was, and now that is an issue. But I think that regardless of the abortion argument, when people can't afford to live, they don't care about anything else except for that.
You know, I understand that it's a big issue there, but I think what Trump needs is another kind of catastrophe abroad, or a little war, which of course Kamala can do nothing about. She's completely incompetent. Something else going wrong, which is badly handled, and then the
we have 2 wars going on right now. We have
I know, and they're both being terribly handled. But if you had another one, I mean, that would just work.
How many do we need?
Well, when you have a war and you're going with Iran, you need
a war in every count, or no?
We need, that's for sure.
I mean, we had like close to 200,000 people being killed in Yemen, and that's civil war. Does that count?
You're being so realistic, David, and sensitive. People have forgotten about that now. It's old news.
Not the voters, though. Like the voters, like the people who are actually going to vote, remember. And and that's where I think that, like, Trump really does have the upper hand, is that there's a lot of people that are, you know, talking their talk, but like they're not going to show up, like they're not going to be inspired on voting day because like they just want to have their crybaby moment and they want to say what they want to say, but like when it comes down to it, like they're not going to put off whatever it is that makes their day better to go and stand in a line and vote. Like, and it's always been that way, and we've always done it. Like, young people don't vote.
Well, that's good because they're stupid and they generally go to Democrats.
I agree. I think we could rearrange all kinds of stuff on that.
I mean, you really need to bring up Afghanistan and what happened there. It's pretty simple conjecture.
It's a shame it was right at the beginning of his presidency in a way. Although that undoubtedly had a seriously direct cause with Russia for sure.
Yeah, of course. And like obviously people are going to deny that in the administration, but when it looks, or not just looks, but it was that the U.S. was an embarrassment leaving Afghanistan. Yeah, of course.
Your allies leaving us over there didn't know what to do. I mean, it was a terrible,
Yeah, no, all of the wars right now are a total embarrassment to our foreign policy of who's in charge right now. They're like, they don't seem to have any idea how to solve anything one way or the other. And the fact that you can post Trump up is like the one thing he did is not going to work.
How would you solve the problem right now? These wars that you say are not so good. What would you do instead? You're the new president of the United States. So how would you solve these two wars right now?
What do you mean? Deter them. You have to think of it.
With the war in Ukraine, I would basically just tell Zelensky that you're not getting any more money. If you want to continue to fight this war, that's up to you, man, but you're not getting any more money. I can see where Russia as a world power is really going to be paranoid for a lot of good reason if anyone was doing it to us. Like taking over Tijuana or, Quebec or whatever, we would be not having it at all. And I would basically probably have to come to the term that we have to break up Ukraine the same way that most of the Eastern European states have been broken up, and give Russia a buffer zone where they feel safe, that they're not, we're not pulling nukes up right up to their front porch. But that's how you end it, is you just don't give them any more money. I think that the war in Gaza is a little bit more nuanced because it is religious, and you're not going to convince religious people to stop being religious. They've been pretty clear, it's about the Muslim temple that's, I forget what it's called, the Stone Mount.
Yeah, Mount, yeah.
Yeah, and they want to tear that down and build it has to do with the reason why they keep attacking each other.
Blowing each other up. I mean, blow themselves up. But I mean, Russia, I don't think you can solve it that way. You just need to give them lots of money very quickly and get everything over with, because it's not going to stop with Ukraine.
You could literally stop it just by telling them we're not giving you any more money.
Zelensky isn't the one that
that's not what was done.
Right. But that's how Trump rolls.
Mechanically, that might be how it happened, but the fact of the matter is that you'd have to get leaders together to talk and make a deal. And they would have to probably give some land to Russia and give some land and then the rest of Ukraine to Ukraine. I mean, they tried to do a peace deal. They tried to do a peace deal, very soon off into the war. It got got torpedoed. But it's not just money. I mean, you have to get people to sign agreements, and you have to get leaders to the table to stop the war. Because if you just stop giving money, then you still have a fucking fluid situation. You still have a war. You have chaos.
Europe
Europe will not accept it, of course, because it's Europe.
It doesn't matter what Europe
They
wants.
will not, they will not accept it.
It doesn't matter what Europe wants.
Absolutely not.
No, it doesn't matter, because like, at the end of the day, like, obviously, yes, we're fighting, war weapons in Ukraine, and all that's happening is they're just killing each other.
Well, they're
A couple thousand dead Ukrainians and a couple thousand dead Russians, I don't know.
No, it's hundreds of thousands. Yeah, hundreds of thousands. I mean, it's huge.
I'm just saying, like, on a daily basis, like, yeah.
It needs to stop. And
maybe that, like, when Joe Biden says, like, there's no negotiating, I mean, that's not the way you conduct, that's not how you do things. And thankfully, he's not going to be president for the next one.
I don't want to get into it too much, but like, dude, obviously it's a money laundering scheme, and like that's just what it is. And in war,
billions of our dollars are going to be lost, and like we have no idea where this went.
Where to go? And in war, like you kind of just like the way that war works is the people who killed the most people and caused the most damage get to take some of the land that they didn't have before, and then they'll have to make some deal. But like, I would much rather have somebody with an iron fist and a like empathetic spirit that is saying like, dude, we can end this right now, but if we don't, like, you understand like the position that we're in. Because like Putin's not the problem is Zelensky. Zelensky's just getting free rolled. Like he doesn't have to do anything. He just keeps having to ask for more shit. Putin's the one that's actually having to put up the dime. And the more and more that happens, the more and more that like states like or countries and like nation states and stuff like that, like Iran are starting to make alliances, and that's what the whole BRICS currency system is. And you can stop that dead in its tracks, because I don't think Putin actually wants to go to war as much as I think that he is paranoid that we're right up his ass with a bunch of shit, and he can't do that to us. And I think that as a world leader, I would think that would be a fair deal. Like, we wouldn't let you do that to us, and so for us to do that to you, it's really all they're doing.
Working with the Mujahideen. That's what needs to happen. The Jews need to stop coiling Mujahideen.
Is this Andrew? Andrew, is that you?
Dude, the Jews are not a monolith, man. Oh my God. Like, I understand the Zionism argument, and I understand the liberal Jews argument, I understand that, but like, this is like, that's crazy. I mean, like, dude, as just a regular person who's not Jewish, I wish that all of Israel would just, move to the United States. Like, honestly, dude, like, I think that they're in fucking danger. And I think that they're at risk at, like, really bad people being really close to them, attacking them all at once, and taking them off the earth.
I think the issue is that their only threat is the people living in Gaza and the West Bank.
Well, Hezbollah.
I agree that they are a problem, but like, there's no solution to that, because you either have to like do a literal what is going to be historically known as a genocide, even though I don't think that that's what they're doing and that's why they're doing it, but that's what it'll get marked up as.
Doesn't matter.
Or you literally have to get them out of there, because they are being attacked on 4 fronts. There is a worldwide kind of call for, support for, the Palestinians. And I think that the Jewish people are, like, I don't have any problem with them, and I don't have any problem with the Palestinians either. I have a problem with Hamas and all the terrorist groups, even though I understand that we fund them and we are the reason that they're there in the first place.
Do you have space?
But we have to, they're in danger. They're in severe danger.
You can take on 20 million people with the southern border as it is. This is a good time to kind of uproot Israel and move it to, I don't know, North Dakota.
It wouldn't be something that I would want to do, and no one would do it. And here's the thing is, no one would do it. No one would do it because it's the Holy Land.
I mean, it's
It's the Holy Land because they have just have a nice little kind of hub of terror there in the whole of Israel, and then they'll be quiet, won't they? They'll be fine. There will be no more, sound something happen.
yeah, and that's one.
Yeah, no,
like
that one's the tough
all
one.
these monarchs in the Middle East, whether it's Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, or Qatar, like, they want Israel to succeed because they realize that they can control the people that are in Gaza and the West Bank and even Hezbollah. So like, there's a lot of people that
Everything else like that, it is a bad group, isn't it?
I didn't know that Hezbollah was French.
Do they have good clothes, David? A good runway at Paris, Russia?
Let me jump in. Horatio, New York Fashion Week is,
Jump in and ask you a question. Listening, try to be honest with you. The whole model, at least of what I'm hearing, if I'm understanding it, it's all from Europe's point of view. Europe meaning European Americans, European Jews. Let me ask you a question.
These aren't European.
What sources of information do y'all go to understand the conflicts that y'all talking about? Or the source of information? No, let me finish. Source of information comes from people in Africa, people in Latin America, and people in Asia about the issues y'all are discussing. Not about something different, the same issues. What, for example, the Japanese or the Taiwanese have to say about so-called Mideast? What do Botswanians, South Africans have to say about the Ukraine? Because it's very clear that the old model that gave us World War I, World War II, yeah, right. The same model is all y'all are discussing. This is what got us World War II. This model of territorial thinking.
You think Africa is like, is a peaceful little...
No, I didn't say, I said Botswana. I was very specific.
Well, I know you
don't know that about Botswana. So don't say Africa, say Botswana.
A journalistic
That'd be like saying that Italian and the English all think like, no, Botswana. I chose it.
But there's no journalistic
Botswana. We have a UN. First of all, y'all not going to be able to solve this issue, especially with the formula y'all use. It's just more bloodshed, more money, and more death. We have a UN for a reason. We have a UN for a reason. And if the world's leadership is brought to bear, not just NATO, not the Warsaw Pact, not just the European taking their own advice and listening to only each other, but if the world is brought in, there might be, and we don't have to take one thing, they can't do worse. Now, what can they do worse?
But there's no world leadership. There's no world
army.
Yeah, but Malcolm,
because when y'all say give Ukraine money, who decides to give Ukraine money?
The whole of Europe.
Malcolm, Botswana, that was a German colony, right?
No, that's Botswana. I'm not going to define the whole African continent.
You said Botswana. Sorry.
Yeah, that's Germany. They had 60 years of so-called rulership. And just had their own people. So my point simply is, the 21st century no longer can be where Europeans are trying to figure out what they're going to do about even European problems, because they prove they can't solve European problems without massive debt. I agree with whoever said something about
but Malcolm, shouldn't it be the Europeans who work to solve the problems? It's not
No, because the same Europeans want to have a say-so, for example, with Taiwan.
That's not your opinion.
The same European,
Same
European wanna have a,
That's a Portuguese issue. That's not a.
No.
Outside the household.
That was the territory of Portuguese. That wasn't the territory of.
And I assume my answer to my question was, y'all have no sources whatsoever that y'all ever.
We do.
No,
That
you
wasn't
can't
on the European
the history of Taiwan, you can look it up. It's very simple.
But when somebody says
I'm not gonna look it up on Google.
saying my sources are right, your sources are wrong, I'm gonna tell you everything that you need to know, and everything that you know is wrong, and everything that I know is right. But like, if you wanna like start at a place,
What sources
and-
will you use that's not Google? What sources will you use that's not Google?
So Michael,
and what sources are you gonna use that's not Google?
wait, hold on.
The ones that are absolutely right, and you can't argue against?
I didn't say mine were right, I said we should be more inclusive. I didn't even get.
Yeah, I agree, Google sucks.
I didn't say Google sucks either, don't put words in my mouth, I didn't say
I
Google
said that.
sucks. Okay, well, you said I agree, I didn't say Google, I said.
I know, I said I agree that we all gotta be on the same page as far as like, we gotta come with our sources and have a specific thing that we're talking about, because you can't talk about the whole thing all at once. But like, yeah, Google is it's a trained dog that bites where it's trained to bite and sleeps when it's trained to sleep.
Yeah, can we get back to the conversation now?
Yeah, go back to your, I know.
Well, I don't understand the point you mentioned, that you don't think our sources are right, you don't even know what our sources are, and we should actually listen to what.
No, Michael. See, you didn't even do a good job of summarizing what I said.
I saw you, but what you're saying, I mean, what is the summary? Which sources should we go to then?
My statement is real simple. World peace is not gonna come from the old traditional major players on the checkerboard: United States, Britain, Germany, France, Russia. Matter of fact, they're the ones causing nearly all the damage in the world, maybe except for a few places. That if we really want genuine peace, we're gonna have to bring in voices and empower those voices to have a say-so in formulating pathways of peace. That's what I'm saying.
I disagree.
Like Botswana, like Thailand, like Vietnam, we should know something about how to bring about peace.
Yeah. Any sort of way of enforcing their voice. I mean, they can say whatever they like, but who's going to listen to what Botswana reckons about that?
Well, Vietnam stopped you the first time.
Well, they're not gonna. Dude, I told Jazzy the same fucking thing, bro. It doesn't work that way.
The Vietnamese might have some idea. It's shown that they can fight colonial power.
Yeah, Vietnam is actually getting quite close with the US. I mean, they're definitely cultivating that relationship with Taiwan for sure, and I don't think they're actually they're not.
I'd rather for them to keep for themselves. I'd rather for them to keep for themselves.
No, I am. I'm just.
You're not Vietnamese. No, you're not. I'd rather have them to keep
on. That's facts on the ground, okay? It doesn't matter what my feelings are. They are cozying up quite much to the US because China is much more of a threat.
That's your interpretation. You have a right to it. I'd rather hear them.
You just have to look at how many times Biden's visited.
Wait, Horatio, why is China a threat?
I wonder.
No, it's a serious question, Horatio. Why is China a threat in your opinion?
America's got 1,000 military bases around the world, but China's a threat. Man, there's just no end to the foolishness on that.
Do you realize how many it would take to kind of obliterate Manhattan? One.
You can control the world militarily, and you can control the world economically. There's different ways to control the world.
So,
Horatio, with all due respect, obviously we know there's issues with the U.S. and China, but as a whole, what is your issue with the CCP?
So the issue with the CCP is obviously their explicit desire to unite Taiwan with China, and Taiwan is having none of it. So that is a simmering issue. But in terms of their actual kind of day-to-day, they are behaving very, very aggressively in the South China Sea. And that's kind of a very important waterway. And it's very much directly affecting
countries like Australia, Vietnam, Japan. I mean, Japan is actually militarizing faster than any country in the world at the moment, and that's because it's a direct result of China's. So they are becoming, and they are much more powerful than any of the other actors we've just mentioned. And really, you just have to have Russia doing Ukraine, which is a proxy. You have to have Iran doing, Israel, which is, Hamas is the proxy. And then just one more issue. And I don't think that, America's got it. I mean, you've got Kamala Harris, doing her bloody victory tour already. She's meant to be in office. And what about Biden? I mean, what the fuck's he doing?
I agree, Ray. You saved that up pretty good, dude.
Hey, David, so now here's an example. Here's an example of a non-European answer to a question, what he just said. So first of all, in 1948, Taiwan was considered by everybody in the world, the United States included, as a part of China. When the Communist Party won the victory, suddenly Taiwan becomes an independent country. Why? So the United States can make military pacts and use Taiwan as a checking point to prevent China from treating the Pacific the way you treat Latin America.
Malcolm,
So, I didn't interrupt you, sir. Sir, I did not interrupt you. I didn't interrupt you. Let me give a non-European point of view.
I agree.
When you spoke, I sat and listened. So let's hear a non-European point of view. The non-European point of view is China wants to do in its realm, good, bad, or in between, what you do in Latin America and find okay. The United States finds it okay. President Kennedy came off the mic in 1962. He said, if any Russian attack any Latin American country, the United States would interpret that as an attack on the United States. So that basically means the United States owns the Americas and they would go to war. So if China says something like that, they're belligerent, they're evil, they're imperialistic. If the United States says it, it's liberty, democracy, freedom, and justice, all of which are alive. So the United States is the one that has put military bases all around. Think about it. On China's border, the United States has went to war with Korea and Vietnam. Imagine briefly, had the United States, China